Black Adam, starring Dwayne Johnson, is said to be the first step towards a new era for DC, and while this is more likely going to be the case after the release of the Flash film, this new entry in the DCEU does make some introductions and reintroductions that will shake it up and get us thinking about what's to come with the slate that Warner Bros. Discovery will build upon in the years ahead. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you my spoiler-free review and reaction to DC's Black Adam, discussing whether it's a worthy new addition to the DCEU. Before I get into it, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Black Adam over the coming days, including my full breakdown of the film, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, turning on your notifications, and following me on social media via the links in the description. But without further ado, let's dive into my spoiler-free review for Black Adam. So Black Adam has quite an interesting setup when it comes to superhero movies. US superheroes come to a Middle Eastern country to prevent its local hero from protecting the people there. It also deals with a character that rejects being a hero, and the opportunity for more weighty themes and a deeper complexity in a DC movie, like we've seen more recently with other examples, is not the case with Black Adam. This film takes those ideas and presents them with a lot more action and quite the rapid of cinematic edits that, like the plot, ends up being more in line with an average conventional comic book movie. Once I understood this, and I kind of guessed that to a degree going in, it was an enjoyable experience. After seeing the film, I do think it's a project that could have been much better with its narrative ideas, and the characters could have had more time to breathe. There's so many characters to introduce, and there's little time to really get to know the Justice Society or really enjoy the origin of Black Adam in a satisfying way. It's one of the rare comic book projects where I actually wished it was a bit longer to allow us time to connect with the characters on show. As a whole, Black Adam follows a very conventional structure that you'd get in an average comic book film today, and at times the script can make it feel quite outdated. This has been the case with a lot of comic book movies from Marvel more recently, and I was hoping that it would at least freshen up the universe stylized movie. But while the style and execution of the film was not that inspiring, I will say that it did entertain me throughout and made me somewhat excited to see what DC is going to do following the end of this current slate that ends with the Flash film. Of course, we got big announcements the other day surrounding movies with Superman, Black Adam, the Batman, and other characters, so there's still a lot of excitement going forward, especially if the new DCEU is looking to bring in great writers and directors like Christopher McQuarrie, who we'd never thought would make one of these types of films. So it's not a complete disaster that this film is much more conventional than the recent DC films, which you know I've been loving as of late. Joker, the Batman, the Suicide Squad, and the Snyder Cut have all been different kinds of comic book movies, regardless of being connected to the DCEU or not, and that has really worked because it's given us individually great films. In my opinion, while this doesn't continue with Black Adam, the excitement of what's to come and Dwayne Johnson's part in the future does get me anticipating what they will do, and I do think this film did some great things that made it an enjoyable experience. When it comes to the plot, we know that the very basis includes Black Adam rejecting the idea of being a hero, and his very appearance gets Amanda Waller to bring some acknowledged heroes into the frame to stop him from going about his current brutalist ways. Enter the JSA, the first DC superhero team that is represented by Aldis Hodge's Hawkman, Quintessa Swindell's Cyclone, Noah Centineo's Atom Smasher, and Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. While we could have got more of the JSA and the exposition involved really downplays their unique abilities, the team's chemistry does really work, and I'd love to see them in more projects with different writers helming their scenes. But the JSA are called in to dampen the effects of Black Adam, who's called upon by the locals to help take out the mercenaries who are extracting the mineral Eternium from their land. We get a prologue that could have been handled better, but it does explain that this powerful mineral is the thing responsible for transforming a slave into the anti-hero figure we watch on screen. A group of rebels, which is led by Sarah Shahi's Adriana, go looking for a crown made of Eternium, and from there, Black Adam is unleashed, he's pissed off, and the JSA have to calm him down before a bigger threat comes into play. On one side, it's a cool idea for a superhero origin film to really show the different perspectives of those on the ground who look at a figure with a questionable morality, but on the other, it does feel quite outdated and a repeat of what we've seen before. Essentially, the film's whole objective is to give Black Adam a good introduction, with the hope that he'll be put against a better villain in a better film in the coming times ahead. When it comes to Black Adam himself and his backstory, we don't really get the full perspective until later on in the film, which I think doesn't help in making the viewer fully connect with his character. However, the brutal and stoic performance of Dwayne Johnson does add to Tef Adam in ways that the script doesn't. It's definitely enjoyable to see him beat loads of evil mercenaries, use his lightning powers, or remove a soldier's arm, alongside Collet-Serra's solid action directing. There's a chaotic visual flair that's a blast to witness, and I can't fault the film in its efforts to entertain in a new way. Again, this could have been extended even further if the film went deeper in exploring a brutal superhero thrust into society, and I think there were more narrative opportunities for Johnson's character. Of course, Black Adam was a passion of Johnson's for over a decade, and the old regime at Warner Brothers didn't want to follow through in making something they really had a desire to put to screen. We also saw something similar with Zack Snyder, and look at the difference between his cut of Justice League against the theatrical cut that really has no passion in its execution whatsoever. You definitely see the passion on display from The Rock, even if it's executed in a quite conventional way, and it does make me respect him and his desire to make this film. With better writing, directing, and more time to flesh out a compelling narrative, Black Adam may have been something really special. Moving on, the film's heavy focus on action is something that is mainly brought to screen by a lot of digital effects, and again, it makes it hard to fully delve into this world and its themes when there's an overuse of explosions and relentless action. At the same time, a lot of the visual effects themselves were done actually quite well, and you can tell that there was some impressive wire work in the midst of overused CG. I think Man of Steel is an underrated and great example of this being done more effectively, because they built out the character's story, they made you connect to him, and then developed the central themes at play so that when you did get the heavy destruction and action scenes, there was always more weight behind them. Black Adam could have done that more effectively, but instead it feels weightless at times, especially during the final battle, with the film suffering from quite a poor villain. You may have already seen the villain from the trailers, and it would have been better to have more time to make some of these components feel more necessary. But as I said, the VFX work is fine, and I will also say that it's executed better than a lot of visual effects we've seen in recent Marvel entries, and I guess the conventional components are not as bad as, say, Thor: Love and Thunder, or even the DCEU's Wonder Woman 1984. It's better than those, and I think if you switch your brain off, you can enjoy the spectacle and the ride that this film brings. Overall, Black Adam definitely directs you in the direction of a larger story in the future, and it doesn't hide the connections to characters like Shazam, or even another one in the post-credit scene that we've been talking about for weeks. It teases that under the new leadership, with maybe a better writer or even filmmaker, we could expect to see a much better narrative, and I think it's good that at least the pieces and characters are there to really do something effective long term. While Black Adam is also self-contained, there are many traits that have been reused from comic book movies over the last few decades, and I think it was a missed opportunity to really give us something new that 4 of the last 5 DC movies have done quite successfully. Still, the inclusion of other characters like the JSA does give the atmosphere of the DCEU quite a new feel, and the themes did present an opportunity to do something different with a character that's powerful enough to fight Superman. Over recent years, DC have shown the the interest in exploring superheroes to their very cores and giving us portrayals that question whether we can really hold these characters in such high regard when they do questionable things and have the power to really do worse. If they were able to put these questions at the forefront, like with say Man of Steel or The Batman, I think this film may have been something more long-lasting and a project that doesn't just feel like another run-of-the-mill comic book adaptation. Doing something different would give the DCEU an alternate step ahead of say the MCU, which is currently all focused on multiversal chaos and big cameos. There really is the chance for them, and hopefully when the new Warner Brothers regime begins their own slate, they will really focus on films with better writers and individual narrative longevity in a genre that's starting to feel really repetitive. We'll have to see, but while Black Adam is quite light on story, it does deliver many action-packed and enjoyable moments with a great acting ensemble. So if you're into that kind of comic book film over a more nuanced take, then I think you'll enjoy this next entry in the DCEU. But that was my spoiler-free review for Black Adam. Black Adam isn't a great DCEU film, nor is it a terrible one, and I've made it clear in previous videos that I'm personally on board with the new DC doing all different types of movies, whether it be films within the DCEU such as the recent Suicide Squad, or outside with projects such as The Batman or Joker. I've liked 4 out of their last 5 films, and while Black Adam may not be close to the level of those, such as Joker, the Snyder Cut, the Suicide Squad, or the Batman, it is a lot better than entries such as Wonder Woman 1984 or the theatrical cut of Justice League. Director Collet-Serra did a solid job of presenting all the darkness and anti-hero that we know is in the fabric of this character, and he built out promising newcomers within DC's expanded world. Dwayne Johnson is a welcome addition himself, and it's great to see that one of the biggest superheroes has finally returned to the big screen just days after an announcement that they would be getting a new solo film. That being said, I think there were some greater opportunities to really dive even deeper into the moral ambiguity of a character like Black Adam, and by allowing more time to really deliver on the themes and tighten up the script of this film, Black Adam may have been the Man of Steel for a new generation. Yes, those universe films call for more scrutiny, and we saw that with Man of Steel back in 2013, but look at how that film is still in the cultural conversation all these years later, and think about how Black Adam being a character of moral questioning would be perfect with that kind of reversed approach. But overall, while Black Adam might not be the greatest film in the DCEU, nor the greatest comic book movie, it was an entertaining ride with glimmers of better storytelling, and it does signal that a change is coming. And hopefully, in the long term, the universe movies can thrive just as much as the separated ones have in recent years when it comes to DC. I'm giving Black Adam a rating of 6.5 out of 10. But to those who have already seen the film, what did you think of the Dwayne Johnson DCEU movie, and do you agree that it has some great qualities even if it isn't the perfect project? Let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos on Black Adam during its release and other DC movies like The Batman, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.